You're not going to believe this, but my entire nightmare started because of grass. Yes, actual grass. Picture this. You're standing on your porch one calm morning, sipping your coffee, enjoying the quiet hum of sprinklers, when suddenly you hear police sirens wailing down your street. You look up, and they stop right in front of your house. Two officers step out, radios crackling, scanning around like they've just arrived at a crime scene. My first thought was that something terrible had happened nearby. But then I saw her. Karen. She was already waiting on her driveway, arms crossed, that all-too-familiar scowl plastered across her face. And within seconds, it hit me. She was the one who had called them. And why? Because, according to her, my lawn looked suspiciously green. I froze, still holding my mug, wondering if this was some kind of prank. Sure, my lawn looked good. I'd spent weeks aerating, seeding and watering it properly, but apparently that was enough to set her off. Karen strutted over, full of self-righteous energy, cutting off the officers before they could even open their mouths. "Officer, I know something's not right here," she said, pointing at my yard like it was a crime scene. "No one's grass is that green unless they're cheating. He's probably using illegal chemicals or breaking city codes." The cops exchanged a look that screamed, "You've got to be kidding me." One of them turned to me. "Sir, can we ask you a few questions about your lawn?" I blinked. For a second, I thought he was joking. But Karen's smug little grin told me she was dead serious. Trying to keep my cool, I explained that I'd just used a decent fertilizer, watered regularly, and put in the work. But before I could even finish, Karen jumped in again. "Don't believe him. Nobody has grass that green in this neighborhood. He's hiding something." The officers humored her, kneeling down to inspect my lawn, probably questioning their life choices in the process. Finally, one stood up and said flatly, "Ma'am, it's just grass. Healthy, well-maintained grass. There's nothing illegal here." Karen's face went crimson. But instead of letting it go, she huffed and doubled down. "No, I pay my HOA fees. My lawn looks normal. He makes the rest of us look bad. Something isn't right." That's when I knew. This was just the beginning. When the police left, I figured common sense would prevail. After all, who in their right mind would turn a patch of grass into a neighborhood scandal? But this was Karen. If there's one thing I'd learned about her, it's that she needs control. Everyone around her has to fit into her perfect little vision of suburbia, and apparently, my too-green lawn was a threat to that order. The next morning, I found a note taped to my front door. It was written in thick black marker, the handwriting sharp and messy. "Your lawn is a violation. Expect an HOA fine. No letterhead, no seal. Just pure Karen theatrics." I crumpled it up, laughing to myself. But deep down, I knew this wasn't over. Later that day, I overheard her talking to another neighbor loud enough for me to hear every word. "If we don't stop him now, everyone's going to think they can turn this street into a jungle," she said. "First it's grass, next it'll be something worse." The neighbor just nodded awkwardly, clearly not wanting to get involved, but the venom in her tone was unmistakable. Then came the real blow. A week later, I got an official letter from the HOA. A formal complaint had been filed against me. The charge? Suspicious lawn maintenance and excessive watering. I couldn't believe it. Suspicious lawn maintenance? What did that even mean? I could practically see Karen smirking as she mailed that letter, so I attended the next HOA meeting to defend myself. And let me tell you, it was absurd. A group of adults sitting around a table, seriously debating the shade of green on my lawn as if I'd committed a crime. Karen sat across from me, arms crossed, lips curved in a satisfied little smirk. Every time I spoke, she cut me off. He's lying. "Nobody gets grass that perfect without cheating." I looked around, hoping someone would speak up for me, but most of the board members just stared down at their papers. Nobody wanted to get on Karen's bad side. Finally, I pulled out my receipts. Fertilizer, sprinklers, grass seed, all legal. All from the local hardware store. Silence. Karen's smirk faltered for a moment, but I could see it in her eyes. This wasn't over. As I left the meeting that night, one thought lingered in my mind. Round 2 was over. But Karen? She was just getting ready for round 3. I wish I could say the HOA meeting marked the end of Karen's crusade, but that would have been far too easy. If anything, getting proven wrong only poured gasoline on her fire. Within days, she launched a brand new campaign, not just against me this time, but against anyone whose property didn't fit her personal idea of perfection. Karen had officially crowned herself the neighborhood's self-appointed guardian of aesthetics. And since my yard was still the greenest, I was enemy number one. At first, it started small, little things that could almost be brushed off. My trash cans somehow kept ending up knocked over on pickup nights. Always, conveniently, on the evenings when Karen was outside watering her brittle, patchy lawn. Then my mailbox flag broke clean off. And one morning I stepped outside to find a pile of weeds dumped square in the center of my yard. It wasn't subtle. It was a message. I didn't need to guess who sent it. Every act of sabotage screamed Karen. I tried to stay calm, repeating to myself, "It's just grass. Don't let her get under your skin." But Karen had an uncanny talent for finding the exact line and then dancing right over it. One sweltering afternoon, she marched across the street while I was mowing and started yelling before I even noticed her. "Do you think this is fair?" she shouted, loud enough for half the neighborhood to hear. "Your lawn makes everyone else look bad. It's unnatural. People are talking about it." I cut the mower and leaned on the handle. "Karen," I said evenly, "it's just grass. I mow it, I water it, I fertilize it. That's it." But that wasn't good enough. She accused me of wasting water, of throwing off the community's balance, even of attracting pests. The irony? Her own yard looked like a neglected patchwork quilt, dry spots, weeds, and bare dirt. The breaking point came a week later. I pulled into my driveway to see a familiar sight, a police cruiser idling out front. "Same officers, same weary expressions. Sir," one said, "we got another call about your unusually green lawn. I didn't even have to look across the street." Karen was there, arms crossed, glaring from her porch like she was watching justice unfold. But this time, I wasn't amused. It hit me then. This wasn't pettiness anymore. This was harassment. And if I didn't stand up to her, she'd never stop. So I made a choice. If Karen wanted a war over grass, then fine. She'd get one. But I wasn't going to fight it her way. I was going to fight smart. I started documenting everything. Every anonymous note, every sabotaged mailbox, every pile of weeds mysteriously dumped on my lawn. I took pictures, time-stamped them, and filed reports. Every time the police showed up, I requested a copy of the complaint record. At first, the officers were confused, but over time, I could tell they were starting to see the bigger picture. Then came the breaking point. It was one of the hottest weeks of summer when Karen struck again. Another call to the police, this time claiming I was illegally rerouting city water lines to feed my lawn. When the officers knocked, they already looked apologetic. But I was ready. I showed them everything, receipts, water bills, and most importantly, a thick folder packed with photos, notes, and police reports detailing every single act of harassment. They studied the documents carefully, then crossed the street to talk to Karen. From my porch, I watched her expression shift from smug to panicked as the officers questioned her. She waved her arms, raised her voice, tried desperately to make them believe she was right. But this time it didn't work. One of the officers glanced back at me and gave a small, sympathetic shrug. That's when I knew. The tide had turned. The next week, I attended another HOA meeting, this time with that same folder under my arm. When Karen tried to start talking, I calmly opened it and spread everything out on the table. The fake violation notes, the photos, the official police reports, the board members, who had once tiptoed around her, couldn't ignore hard evidence. Whispers filled the room as they flipped through the pages. And when I finished, the decision was unanimous. Karen was formally warned for harassment and misuse of HOA authority. But it didn't stop there. The HOA immediately enacted a new rule: no more complaints. Without concrete evidence, Karen's power vanished overnight. The woman who once controlled every neighbor, through intimidation, was suddenly being avoided by everyone. Her reign of suburban terror was over. For the first time since I'd moved in, our street felt peaceful again. Now when I look at my lawn, I don't just see grass. I see every ounce of patience, every late-night report, every step it took to stand up to someone who thought they could control everything around them. Karen still glares from her porch sometimes, but that's all she can do now. Her power's gone, and the grass, still green, still thriving, stands as proof that I won. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to hit that like button, share your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe for more unbelievable HOA and Karen stories every week. Your support keeps these stories alive. And trust me, the next one's even crazier.